Webster's dictionary defines originality as the opposite of the way I'm introducing this category, but in all seriousness, where would we be without developers willing to take a chance, try something new, and reinvent what gaming makes possible? Here are your Gamescom Best of Show nominees for Most Original Game. And the winner for Most Original Game is Voidtrain. This game blends first-person action and survival gameplay as you go hurtling through the fabric of space and time on an interdimensional train. And while the train might stay on track, it's safe to say everything else has gone off the rails. Here's a word from the winner.
Hi everybody, my name is Dima and I'm the publishing producer at Niargo Studios. We're very humbled and honored to receive the Most Original Game Award for our game Voidtrain here at Gamescom 2020. We've been pouring our hearts and souls into this project, and there are so many people we want to thank, but since we don't have much time, here is just a few honorable mentions. We'd like to thank Heather Glade, our long-term companion and ally. We couldn't have wished for a better partner. We'd like to thank Hyperion Digital, who has stuck with us through the development and helped us realize the game of our dreams. And of course, our community, High Discord community, for helping us along the way. Without you guys, we couldn't have made it. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Congrats again to Voidtrain. Joining me to discuss Voidtrain, the winner of Most Original Game is Gerard, the completionist Khalil. Welcome, Gerard. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Akeem. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, as far as survival games are concerned, what do you think it is about Voidtrain that kind of like sets it apart from the rest?
I think the biggest thing that sets apart Voidtrain from all the survival games out there is the fact that there's this gravity-less approach to how you go excavating and building out your trolley. I think the fact that you can kind of float in the air is really great. It's almost like a swimming type feature, and I think incorporated that with these gigantic creatures who are trying to either exist or harm you, I think just only elevates the uniqueness this game has to offer.
Yeah, and you know, like that's one of the things that I kind of got from the game is it really gave me raft vibes. You know what I mean? Only instead of like building a raft or like trying to like kill a shark, you're trying to build a train and you're going up against, I guess you could call them what, extraterrestrial space whales, maybe? I guess is what you could possibly call them. But what out of everything that we saw, what was one of the most unique aspects of Voidtrain that you saw?
I think one of the most unique aspects about Voidtrain that I experienced was seeing these gigantic monsters come at you passively while you're on this adventure of trying to build up your trolley and then having to defeat them and gather parts and build your trolley accordingly is so interesting. It could have easily just been like an on-rail shooter. It could have been just a straight, you know, FPS approach to everything. But really what you have is this hybrid genre based in this early steampunk 1920s-ish kind of combat. You know, you have a revolver that's very classic. It's not like a modernized pistol. So I think there's just so many combination of things that really make this stand out.
Yeah, I know, like when I first experienced Voidtrain, I thought it was just going to be like this very serene experience as you're traveling through these voids and you're tethered to your push trolley and you're interacting with these various different, I guess, space creatures, killing some of them, and then all of a sudden you find yourself liberating a Nazi depot. Now you're right there, guns ablazing. So I like that. It's kind of like that weird dynamic where it's like, all right, I'm floating in space. Now I'm like guns ablazing all of a sudden. Now, as far as like the train construction, what did you think about building your own train? A space train.
A space train. I think that's one of the cool things about this entire game, right? Is anytime that a game lets the player decide how they want to play the game, from things simply as cosmetics to really unlocking features to kind of build upon what you have. I think that's what makes the game at its strongest, because it lets the player really take control. And Voidtrain does that super well with this entire concept of building out your trolley, because in the beginning you're going to have this small trolley, but by the end you might have a gigantic train, you might have the same trolley from before. It's up to the player to decide how this journey goes, and I love that.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a great way to kind of like disrupt what we're kind of used to in a certain genre. Like if you think about like space travel, you don't necessarily think about traveling on a train. You know, there was an anime and a manga that I was a fan of as a kid called Galaxy Express 999, which is a train. It's a space train. You see this space train, and again, like that particular anime was a space opera. So you're expecting to see spaceships. You're not necessarily expecting to see a train in space. But my final question for you, though, Gerard, I got to ask you this: if you were to travel through space, what would be your means of transportation? Would it be the typical spaceship or perhaps a train? That's not a trick question.
I mean, given what I've seen from Voidtrain now, I might consider the train, because I feel like with the spaceship, you're just going to be given the standard spaceship that's assembled for you. But if I can design my own train, my own kind of caboose and team to run the whole thing, like that sounds a lot more interesting to me than generic spaceship that travels into space. And I think the nice thing about Voidtrain too is that it's space, but it's also this version of space. Rather, what we've seen is kind of cloud surfing in a way, which is a lot more serene to me than black emptiness in the void of space. So I don't know. I think I'm going to go with the train.
I think I'm right there with you. It's just something about like just having that freedom to be floating in space, and you're tethered all the while you're traveling through space. I like that whole experience. It just looks really cool. Well, Gerard, I want to thank you for joining me, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, thank you for having me.